Today I'm going to go do a little checkup and see how we're doing for production for the next couple weeks going into December. I think we're going to be good. We really played it well this year as far as having a lot of stuff planted out before it got cold, and then having our new greenhouse online before it got really cold. And we've actually, as much as I hated the weather when we were building the greenhouse because of the wet, it's worked out really well right now, in the sense that now that the tunnel's up, it's warm in there, and it's dry in there, and that wetness is keeping everything warm. So that is certainly working to our favor at the moment. And as we go and check up on these other plots, we'll see how we're going to be looking for the winter. Alright, so I'm here at my Lawrence Avenue plot, just checking in, and my cover crops are doing very, very well. The peas are a little slow to germinate, but that's okay. We've still got enough warmish weather with the rain that I expect to have a really good established cover crop there that I can turn in the spring. And just coming over here to check this greenhouse, spinach still probably a week or two away from harvest, but it'll succession harvest, so I don't need it right now. Still got enough stuff under poly low tunnels at my place. And we've got one more nice thick bed of lettuce to harvest here. That should be a good crop. That should be 15-20 pounds. And then over in this greenhouse here, we've already cropped this one out, more or less, but we'll start to see second cuts from this in probably 10 days to 2 weeks. So we're really on track. Like, we've got between these two greenhouses here and the greenhouse in my backyard, we're looking like we've got really strong production going ahead for winter. So my inclination right now would be to harvest as much of these greenhouses that I can before it gets too cold, and push my backyard greenhouse as far as I possibly can, because the regrowth on that is going to be a lot quicker than it would be here, because that one's heated and these aren't. So having said that, I don't expect to get anywhere in the -15, -20 degrees Celsius area for a while. We still got kind of cold, cold rainy weather. If we get snow, that'll mean that it doesn't get too cold. Usually for us, if we get snow in December, it's because it's kind of warm. Whenever we get really cold, which is not very often, but when we do, it's dry. It's not a lot of snow. So this kind of weather, if we have this for a while, we're really good. And this is like rare to get sunshine this time of year. So it's just kind of peeking through the clouds. Give it another 5 minutes and it'll probably be raining again. So we're doing good for production for lettuce with these greenhouses and the greenhouse at my house. So we'll go check up on our other high rotation plot and see how that's doing. Just pulling up here at our furthest away high rotation plot, and we've got a lot of production here for the winter, actually. I mean, the majority of the production we have this winter is obviously coming from my base of operations, my heated greenhouse, and the poly low tunnels right there. There's a total of about 12 50-foot beds all there, mostly lettuce, some carrots. But here, we've also got a decent amount of production too. We've got spinach and carrots and spinach in one low tunnel there. We've got spinach, red Russian kale. That red Russian kale is almost finished. And then we've got another 2 beds of overwintered spinach here, or actually just 1 bed. We harvested the spinach, or the carrots that were there. And then another bed of spinach here. So, you know, really we've got 6 50-foot beds of production here, spinach and carrots mostly. I've got another 30-foot bed of carrots here, and I've got another 2 30-foot beds of beets here. So, you know, for a low maintenance site, this site is actually going to be very productive going into the winter. Those carrots can be harvested all the way into the deep of the winter. It might not be January till we pull some of them out of the ground. Mark just did a big harvest of one of the beds here early last week. So we've got enough carrots for a little while in the cooler, and then we'll come and harvest these throughout the winter. You can see here this arugula, these 2 beds, just leave them, just rough as that, just leave them. That's a green manure. It's too late in the season for these to flower and produce seeds that are going to spread, though you can see actually there are a couple with seed pods on them, but they're not going to be able to shatter. And that's the thing that will when a plant makes a seed, kind of like when you imagine a dandelion goes white and then those seeds are dry and they spread around, that's called shattering. So the seed is created and then it has to be dry in order for it to blow around or spread around. So in this kind of weather, with the cold that we've been having too, it's not going to be enough for this arugula crop to go to seed. Having said that, I will probably come in here and put a tarp over these 2 in the winter. We can even do it now. That actually wouldn't be a bad idea either. That's another option, is that these could just decompose under the tarp and just leave a sort of anaerobic composty type thing on the top of the soil, which we could just turn in the spring. So this plot, it's lots of stuff going on here. We had an amazing production season out of this plot this year, so we did really good on this one. And not much needs to change for this plot. Any bare soil like this here will roll over a piece of plastic or a tarp on that, because we don't want to keep any bare soil exposed to the winter precipitation. But other than that, all of these beds have either crops in them that are going to be harvested or leftover crop residue that's just going to sit there for the winter and keep that soil intact. So I'm going to head back home to the main base of operations and kind of assess what we've got going on there. Back to the homestead here. You can see, look at how much shade my front yard gets now. It's almost completely in shade. So we are early November, and for the most part, the front yard is completely shaded out. So that's interesting to point out, because it shows the limitations of urban farming, in a sense that if I have to work around buildings, I'm limited on the window of season I can have there. So fortunately, all these crops are established and they're under poly low tunnels, so they'll stay warm, and for the most part will keep the heavy rains off them, which will keep the soil warmer and prevent it from freezing heavily when we get to below freezing temperatures. But you know, we've got spinach and lettuce under these tunnels. These are like 40-foot beds or something like that. So there's a lot of production at the homestead here, and with this stuff, the stuff in my neighbor's yard and our greenhouses. Lots of production under the poly low tunnels, lettuce and carrots. Carrots will go far into the winter, just like the last plot we were at. And the lettuce here, the idea with the stuff under the low tunnels is we'll ride it out as long as we can until we start harvesting from the greenhouses, because we want to have as much good harvestable stuff in those greenhouses that are a lot warmer than these to push us as far into the winter as possible. And I'll go in that greenhouse and kind of explain my production strategy. So we've got 7.5 50-foot beds here. This short bed is that one that we did of red Russian and tatsoi. So my production strategy is, once we get into this stuff and start harvesting this, I want to harvest no more than 2 beds a week. That would be max. So, and that's taking into consideration how long they'll take to regenerate, because in the winter things will regenerate slower. However, we do have this as a warm greenhouse and it's heated, so it might, you know, I don't know what the regeneration is going to be like exactly. If I could get away with harvesting 1 bed per week, that would be ideal. But what we're going to be doing for our salad mix is beefing them up with microgreens, like pea shoots primarily. So I'm looking at each of these beds, and once they're more mature, we can basically get 50 pounds per bed. And then if I have orders for more than that in a week, we'll beef it up with pea shoots. So we can scale up our production in the nursery with pea shoots to be pretty much whatever we like. I mean, there's really no limitation with the space in here and what we can do. So we can scale it up. We've got so much vertical space in here that we can just ramp up production. We could produce 100 pounds of shoots a week if we wanted to in here. But 100 pounds and then 50 pounds of lettuce would be, that would be too much shoots in the salad mix, so we won't do that. But you know, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, mixed with some other greens. Maybe we'll have a bit of red Russian kale, a bit of spinach we can put into there, that we can really make a nice salad mix. So that's the basic idea. So that is what it's looking like on the farm before I take off. And I hope you guys have found that helpful. If you have, please hit the subscribe button right now. Like and share these videos with your friends, and check out my website at theurbanfarmer.co, where you've got links to my online course, my book, my one-day workshop, and there's some free stuff on there too for people who have my book. And if you'd like to make a donation to the show, it's much appreciated and always welcome. You can do that at the same website, theurbanfarmer.co/support. All right, thanks for watching.